Hello, and welcome to Power ED, a Chat State podcast. I'm your host, Andy Burns, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today on this enlightened journey. Here at Chattanooga State Community College, we're not just about lectures and textbook. We're about people, our inspiring employees who are dedicated to empowering our students and our community. We'll explore our community members' unique paths, discover what drives them for their passion for education, and uncover the incredible impact they have both inside and outside the classroom. So whether you're a current student, a fellow colleague, alumni, or just curious about what makes Chat State so great, you've come to the right place. Get ready to be inspired, to learn, and to truly be empowered. So in today's episode, we have the famous Dr. April Crenshaw. Welcome, Dr. Crenshaw.
Thank you so much, Andy. Glad to be here with you this morning.
Well, we're extremely glad that you're here. I gotta go ahead and tell you, just go ahead and spoil it. So, your name came up when we surveyed faculty members who wanted to hear about faculty and talk about faculty, okay. And your name came up like over and over. Like you have trailblazed over the last few years that you've been here, and you've been here. So go ahead. First of all, tell us, how long have you been here?
18 or 19 years. 18 or 19.
A true veteran in the game, so we really appreciate it. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, like what department that you're teaching and things of that nature.
Yeah, so I started in 2006, and I've in the math department. So yeah, associate professor of mathematics. I moved here from Macon, Georgia, where I was teaching high school math there in Twiggs County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I love most about you when we first met? I went to FAMU, Florida A&M. And
Go Rattlers.
And you went to
Spelman.
That is right. And I just love the spirit, coming from HBCU. There's a different spirit that you have. And as soon as I met you, it's like kindred. Yeah. And so as soon as we started talking, your educational prowess just came through the roof, right? So, so if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about how you got to Chattanooga State.
How far you want to go back?
I say let's go back as far as you like, because you have a really interesting story.
Yeah. So I guess I born and raised in South Carolina, and I don't often share this, but I'll share it when folks ask. I am a first gen. Yeah, I'm a first gen college student, Pell eligible.
Mm-hmm.
I got my bachelor's in math at Spelman College on a NASA scholarship. And now I'm dating myself, but I was an original Gates Millennium Scholar.
What?
Yeah. They're now the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but back in 1999, Bill Gates had a Gates Millennium Scholarship for starting in the year 2000, and so for that academic year, I was in that initial cohort that received that scholarship. From there, I got my master's in financial math on another NASA scholarship, the NASA Harriet G. Jenkins Fellowship, and I feel like my master's was a consolation prize.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I felt like I let my alma mater down, but it was a rough kind of program. There was a totally different environment and vibe from what I was used to.
Yeah.
At Spelman, and the biggest thing, which kind of is why I do what I do with regard to student support and belonging and so forth, was just those elements were missing.
Yeah.
For me, and I felt isolated.
Yeah.
And so it was a struggle. And once I finished, I was like, I'm I'm out.
Yeah.
So I took my, like I said, took my master's and
Yeah.
let me take this and run.
I'm going
so
home.
I took it and I ran to the altar. So,
Oh,
I got married.
Yeah. Okay.
I graduated in June, finished in June, and got married in July.
Oh, wow.
And then that's when my husband and I, we moved.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little something that bonds us a bit. I actually worked at Kennedy Space Center in the public affairs office from 91 to 95. So why didn't you end up at NASA? I know we would have missed out if you did, but did you ever think about working for NASA at all with the scholarships they get?
Yeah, so what happened was I thought, when I went the financial route, because at the time, financial mathematics was kind of a new area, and so they were throwing lots of money at it. And when I did an internship in the field, because I was part of a NASA scholarship, I did 3 internships at NASA.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to be there in the center and everything, and I kind of, one of the things I do is I kind of do things my own way.
Yeah.
And so they like for you to, so I was at NASA Ames Center in California.
I do know Ames, yeah.
And so they like for you to stay in the same department each year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said, I'm not learning all the facets of the center by doing that. So I was able to kind of maneuver and switch each year. So I was in the computational sciences division one summer. I got to work under the CFO the next summer and learn about appropriations law and budgeting and all of that. That was actually like my favorite summer, actually. And then the last summer, I worked in the psychophysiology research lab. And that was a cool experience, too, where we were learning about the effects or how to mitigate the effects of fatigue for the astronauts.
Yep.
So that when they're tired, they can still learn different techniques to kind of ward off the effects of fatigue and still complete their task with as clear of a mind as possible, given given the situation that they're sleep deprived.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But it's like that. None of that really appealed to me. I kind of, my husband and I had a discussion about it, and he was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I kind of think I want to teach." And he was like, "Well, I love educators. I'm from a family of educators. My mom's in education down at the board office. My dad's a principal. Was retired as a principal, and school board member. My aunts and so forth, they're in education. So if that's what you want to do, go for it." And so then that's what I did.
So even when we talk about some of the things that you've put together here, and I'm just going to name a few, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and expand on a bit. But one is the students' help-seeking behaviors. Tell us a little bit about that.
In 2019, I went to a dissertation defense.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. For a person that I've known for a very long time. Morehouse graduate.
Okay. There we go.
For a bachelor's.
Across the street.
And then this person went on to Michigan to get their master's, and then back to Georgia State for their PhD.
Okay.
And so their dissertation was on help-seeking behaviors in college algebra, for college algebra students.
Okay.
And through, everything that they were talking about, the big takeaway for me with regard to student help-seeking behaviors, because now this was actually some data to go with what I've been seeing anecdotally.
Yeah.
So, I never took any data, did any studies on it. It's like, this is my observation.
Right.
Well, now here was a formal study on it from somebody that I knew. Mm-hmm. And they got to this idea of, there were 4 major factors, that findings that they had. I think one of them had to do with age.
Okay.
Sex. Mm-hmm. So older students were less likely to avoid help, I think was a finding. Their female students were less likely to avoid help, was another finding. There is, students with positive attitudes towards the course were less likely to avoid help. And then students who had a sense of professorial concern was what it was called, were less likely to avoid help. And that was the one that stuck out for me. That's the one I've been using ever since.
Okay.
I can't fix the student's age.
Right.
You are how old you are.
Yeah.
I can't fix whether you're male or female.
Right.
Okay. And at this point, well, a long time ago, I stopped trying to convert attitudes about math because I found that if I can help you learn to do it better, your attitude automatically changes.
That's actually pretty profound.
Yeah. So I don't have to worry about coming in here trying to sell you that math is great, and you say, hey, as long as I show you where it's relevant and help you learn to do it better, your attitude changes. Yeah. Typically, you come in upset about it because it hadn't worked for you. Okay, so all of those things, I was like, okay, but this professorial concern thing, the way it was described, it was about how do the students perceive their instructor, as far as how does the instructor care about them? How does the instructor seem to care for them as a student, for them just as a person in general? Is there respect? Is there connection? Do they provide a space where the student is feeling like they're included, like they belong? Like all of those factors go into that. And the more the students perceive that there is this professorial concern, the less likely they are to avoid help. Less likely they are to avoid going, avoid help. So I said, now that's something I can try to work on. Yeah. And so that's what brought me into this thing about the academic help-seeking behaviors, is increasing this idea and those factors with regard to professorial concern. Yeah. To bring students in for help. Yeah. So trying harder, because it's not like I wasn't trying before, trying harder to make connections, trying harder to, on the front end, spend less time on those first two meetings about rules and regulations and all that stuff, and more about who are you? Why are you here? What are your expectations? Oh, wow. How can I best help you? Completely redoing the syllabus so that it's more conversational. It's like a letter to the students. And like the whole first page is about ways that I'm here to support you and the goals that I have for you as your professor for, what you're doing for the class. I mean, it's a minute before we even get to the little box that says an A is this, a B is this, that kind of thing, to let them know that, hey, I do care. There is concern. You do belong. I want you here. You are included. I do see you. I understand that this course may be hard for you, that you may be apprehensive about it or whatever, but here is what I commit to doing for you to try to. I can't change the nature of the calculus is calculus. Yeah. But what I do promise is I won't make it any harder than it has to be. Right? And when it gets hard, like, I'm here to support you. I brought somebody else in to support you. There's a whole center dedicated to supporting you. I will guide you to specific people that I know, students that I've taught personally, rather than just telling you to go find somebody. Yeah. And so that's what that's a part of that work.
So it's like you're making math a lifestyle for students.
Well, I definitely want to make it I wouldn't say making math the lifestyle, but this idea of going for help when you need it. Okay. That's what I want to change and make a part of the students' lifestyle. Okay. I guess. Okay. Because I want you to take that, I want you to be comfortable going for help when you need it and recognizing it and not being afraid and being comfortable in your, not just for math, but for any of your courses. Yeah. And then when you go on the job, you might be a new employee. Yeah. You might not know something. Okay, we find somebody who, who does, or be resourceful and go to that manual. Yeah. And look that thing up. Yeah. Yeah. And so sometimes it's not even all about, maybe you don't necessarily come to me But again, I have another thing about all these resources available that comes up too. Hey, the school has these resources for food, for emergency financial assistance. So it's all about help and getting students that, and you know, his study talks about a behavior. It's a behavior that you have to develop about, you know, being willing to seek help and be resourceful.
So when you talk about the help seeking goals and then you start to talk about the attributes, you actually live them. Like, I know firsthand, I've seen you live them. So it's a part of your mantra almost, right? And when people work with you, they know that you're actionable.
The first time I helped somebody with math and explained something, I was 14, explaining something to a 13-year-old, helping a student. And I don't even know how that came to be, but I worked with this you know, my peer, basically twice a week. And the mom, gave me $10. So I guess that's my first time working and teaching somebody.
Amazing.
Then teaching somebody math.
14 teaching a 13-year-old, so you were tutoring that early.
Tutoring, And so she gave me $10. I worked with her two times a week.
So, you know, I got to ask you, because we were talking earlier. So if you were tutoring at 14, somewhere around 16, you had this other bug that came out that was really more of a hobby. But I gotta ask you about your singing career.
Oh, not the singing career. So, all right. So before I decided I wanted to be a teacher, I thought I was, you know, possibly had a shot at being the next Whitney Houston. My parents got me a little boombox.
Okay.
Yeah, with some little headphones, or whatever, and I had I feel like it was the Mariah Carey Emotions cassette tape or whatever.
You didn't do the whole soundtrack.
The whole, I mean, the whole, you know the cassette tape. That's before the CDs. It was, I feel like that was Mariah and somebody else was like my first two or whatever. I would sing. You know, that was my hobby. I didn't really do video games that much, or, you know, hang out outside. I would just be in there, my headphones on my boombox. And that's how I did my homework to music. I did my chores, cleaned my room to music. That was just how I got through everything. And one thing is, my voice to me doesn't sound the way it sounds in reality. Doesn't sound the way it sounds to other people, which I realize now has gotten me in trouble sometimes. It's like, well, what do you mean? I didn't say it like that. But it doesn't come off, you know, I realize it doesn't come off to others the way it sounds in my head. And so in my head, I'm a wonderful singer. I sound just like the artist. Doesn't matter who I'm singing. I sing Whitney. I sing Anita Baker. I sing Mariah Carey. I'm all over them notes. And I'm talking about 90s Mariah, not this Mariah. All of Luther Vandross. I mean, whoever I'm singing, I'm killing it. Found out literally killing it. I'm all over it. So anyway, we were at my uncle's house one summer for vacation, because he lived in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And that's where we would go for vacation. And one of my cousins was in the kitchen one morning, was coming down to get breakfast, and I was just coming down, bopping downstairs, just singing away. And she says, "Can you hush?" I mean, with all the irritation in the world. So I'm looking at her like, and I think I literally said, "Why?" Like, how you just gonna shush me? And she was the oldest at the time. She was like 16. And I'm like 12. But don't be shushing me. Can you hush? And I said, "Why?" She said, "'Cause you can't sing." Like your face right now with the mouth open, like clutching my imaginary pearls. Like, well, how dare you? But not only like, how dare you? Like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
I mean,
Luther said I could sing.
Mariah like, I've been singing since, you know, I got my boom, but like, what are you talking about? So when I get back home, you know, because here's the thing, if you say something, I do want to check it out. I take into account what folks say. So I said, well, let me just see if something wrong with her ears. So vacation's over. We get back home. I plugged that thing up, put in one of them blank Memorex cassette tapes that I got from my daddy.
Yeah.
Plugged it in there. Started singing the SWV song I was singing when she said I couldn't sing. And I played it back, and I said, well, let me just clear my throat a little bit and do a second take.
Yeah.
All right, so I did that. I said, well, let me move a little closer.
Yeah.
You know,
You
check the adjust the volume a little bit. Did a third take. So probably about 5 takes in, I realized that there was some truth
to what she said.
To what she said.
And now is born the Math Genius. So this will be another episode, and this wraps up this episode. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite platform. And don't forget to share with your friends, your family, and anyone who wants to be empowered by the incredible work that's happening here at Chat State. Power ED, unleashing the power of education, one chat story at a time.